The admonition dealing with the irreversible, and I call it irreversible paralysis that a sense of entitlement brings upon an instructed mind, is something that everyone needs to pay attention to and be free from. When I hear parents saying, I don't want my child to go through the trouble that I did, I don't want my child to suffer what I suffered, I say you are shortchanging yourself, and if you are not careful, you may actually be driving that child into a pit. But an important corollary, which is what we want to deal with tonight, is the acknowledgement that a table set in adversity is often the platform for eventual or ultimate triumphant life. I say that again. The corollary to the question of entitlement that was spoken to extensively this morning by Sister Muturayo is the fact that is the acknowledgement that a table set in adversity is often the platform for the eventual or ultimate joyful triumph, particularly when we understand and correctly respond to the principles that adversities set in motion. When you look at the life of Jabez, you will see that story. 1 Chronicles chapter 4 verse 9 and verse 10. And for those of you who also look at the story of David, when he was speaking in Psalm 23, we often just glib over it. Thou set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. These were people who understood that adversity actually sets the platform for an ultimately triumphant life. And if you go on further to the testimony of our Lord Jesus Christ, as recorded by the writer of the book of Hebrews, declaring that who for the joy that was set before him, he endured the suffering. I want you to have this indelibly written on the tables of your heart. Adversity is often the platform for the eventual and ultimate joyful triumph when we understand and correctly respond to the principles that adversity sets in motion. I have seen different kinds of postings in social media of how people have described 2020 to themselves. One very hilarious one said, "Oh, 2020, I have not used it, so take it away from my age. Take it away from the calendar of time." And I wonder what 2020 has been to you. Some of you may have had pains. Some of you may have had troubles. But I want you to look at something different tonight. That in the remaining months of this year, whatever your adversity, what it has been, you can actually turn that around as you listen profusely to what I call the principles of the table of life. When unexpected things happen, are questions that we begin to ask. Why me? Does God know? Does God care? Attitude. The first critical leg is attitude. When you look at the definition of attitude, it is your way of thinking or feeling about something. Your way of thinking, your way of feeling about something. And there are three components to the aspect of attitude. One is a cognitive aspect. Cognitive means recognizing whatever it is that you are facing. The second one is what is the affective or emotional component. You recognize it, then how do you react to it emotionally? And what I found quite interesting in the conversation that you watched was not a voice of regret from this man. The world owes you nothing. All that your parents owe you was to have brought you to life and given you guidance so far. You owe yourself, and your attitude to life is absolutely crucial. See what happened to the Israelites in the wilderness. Psalm 78, 36 to 37, 40 to 42. Because of the challenges which they had, they constantly grumbled against God. And God said, because these people try me, they will never see the promised land. Wow. They shortchanged themselves in terms of the destiny that God had prepared for them on account of a bad response to what was a temporary situation. Blindness was not temporary for this young man, but you could see he was brimming with confidence and hope in the living God, that God can make that work out for his good. If you've been blaming, if you've been grumbling, if you felt that when people owe you anything, stop it and begin to imbibe these four legs, things that adversity will trigger, that you need to understand, follow, and develop the right response. Attitude is the first of them. The second thing that you will find in the things that this young man was saying, you heard him say it in his conclusion, that if God is standing with you, Muturayo said in the morning, in the darkest moment of his life, faith in God was a mainstay for her in the crisis moments that she had. This young man, you heard him over and over. When God is standing with you in the place of your adversity, it's not over. You can depend on him, cause him to guide you into the steps you need to take, and patiently wait, because these are very crucial things. They say Rome was not built in a day. And I've said it oftentimes to my brethren, the only plants that grew up in one day also died in one day. Rapidly rising stars, they also fall very rapidly. The pathway of God is a pathway of patience. God was not short of power, that he could not have created everything in 1 second. But he said he took one in one day and it was very good. He took one in another day, very good. So dependence upon God, absolutely necessary in the things which you want to look at as those foundational legs to the table and the platform of life that you want to live.